Hey guys, what's up? It's Zyflin here, and today we're going to be checking out the Ceti Lacera, another event reward from Operation Scarlet Spear. Now, the sword and whip category in the melee weapons category, I haven't really invested that much into. I remember being hyped about it whenever the Mios was first released, but after that, I just never invested that much into any other sword and whip, right? So the Lacera or whatever that other one is called. I'm pretty sure there's another one in the game, which is like a fan made or community designed one that I just haven't like really invested that much into. So the first thing that we're gonna do is compare the stats of the Ceti Lacera to the original Lacera, because that is just fair. It just makes sense, right? But the Ceti Lacera is pretty much just a better Lacera. So the Ceti Lacera has an attack speed of 1.08 compared to the 0.917 of the regular Lacera. We've got a critical chance of 20% on the Ceti Lacera compared to the 5% on the regular. We've got a status chance of 40% compared to the 45% on the regular. So status is nerfed by 5%, but that's not a big deal because the crit sort of makes up for that. And then on top of that are heavy attacks, the slam attack, and slam radio damage and stuff like that. Those are all higher on the Ceti Lacera as well. So the Ceti Lacera is pretty much a straight upgrade to the regular Lacera. I can't speak. The regular Lacera is a straight upgrade to the regular Lacera. In my opinion, not that worth it as an event reward. There's definitely better melees out there. Like, this is nothing compared to the likes of, you know, the Cronin Prime, for example. The only reason you would really be picking this weapon up is for the style points, at least in my opinion. But, you know, that's besides the point. Let's talk about the build that I'm running right now for the Ceti Lacera. So it's your pretty bog standard crit hybrid build for melee weapons as of, you know, the melee 2.9 or 3.0 update, whatever you want to call it. So you got Blood Rush on there for your crit, Condition Overload on there for your damage, which is going to give you a higher damage bonus than Prime Pressure Point, given the fact that you're proccing more than two or just two status effects on the enemy, which shouldn't be a problem based on the fact that we have 104% status on this build. Weeping Wounds to give us even more status chance. Organ Shatter, they give us critical damage. Drifting Contact for status chance and combo duration. Virulent Scourge for status chance and Toxin. Vicious Frost for our frost damage or cold damage plus our status as well. The Berserker for our attack speed, and the stance that I'm using is the Defiled Snapdragon stance. Now, there is no other stance, so you're kind of limited to this one. I've got 24 of these, so this is sort of a rare mod. You'll get it if you just keep on playing the game. Trust me, you'll eventually get everything that you need. But yeah, the one mod that you could maybe swap out if you really wanted to would be Weeping Wounds, but I wouldn't recommend it because, you know, you just want to be consistently proccing those status procs. The status procs really are what sort of carries this weapon, so it's down to you whether or not you want to swap this. If I were to swap it, the one thing I would swap it for would be a Prime Smite mod, but, you know, even then, I don't know, I just prefer the consistency of Weeping Wounds, at least on this build. I hope that they buff up the Riven disposition of this in future, because if they did, then this weapon would be a lot better. Another thing you could maybe also throw on would be a Prime Reach mod as well. So you could throw that there on and have some crazy range on this, but it's entirely up to you. I'm just going to demonstrate the damage with this build and then pretty much call it a day, because there's nothing else really super special about this weapon. So yeah, we're going to be demonstrating our damage versus level 110 Corrupted Heavy Gunners. They're not going to be paused, because if I pause them while I have a melee weapon out, then they're going to take more damage because of a stealth multiplier that is in the game. So let's just go ahead and spawn them in. I'm invincible, so I'm not going to die. And you'll see that as we apply our viral procs and our slash procs, the enemies start to die a lot faster. So your viral is making it so the damage you deal to their health is being amplified, and of course your slash procs is dealing damage to their health through their armor, so it's helping you out quite a decent bit there. So you can see that, you know, I stop hitting the enemy after applying the viral and the slash, and their health starts to go down pretty much on its own. So I'm not a big fan of the Defiled Snapdragon stance, in all honesty. Let's just go ahead and try a melee attack out versus this guy with the 12. That's the type of damage that I deal. Pretty much one-shot him. So that was level 110. That's the highest level enemy you're going to come up against in the star chart. Just for sake of demonstrating, let's go ahead and try a corrosive build. The corrosive build, I feel, is probably going to deal a lot less damage. Like, you'll see higher numbers, but that's because, you know, enemies with ferrite armor take 75% bonus damage from corrosive damage. So you're going to see higher numbers whenever I'm hitting the enemies. But in terms of DPS, these enemies probably won't die as fast because they're not having the slash procs and stuff deal amplified damage directly to their health, right? So you can maybe already tell that I'm just not killing them as quickly as if I was using viral, I would probably deal a lot more damage and kill them a lot faster. You know, it's taking more swings, basically. So yeah. Still okay damage, like, but I would definitely prefer the viral because then I can just like hit the enemy a few times and then walk away and then do whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap back to viral. So it's my Vicious Frost. There we go. And then what I can also demonstrate is the Prime Reach mod. So let's go ahead and throw that on. Primed Reach. Maybe I won't be able to fit that on. Oh, I can. I got lucky. Just at 0. Cool. Spawn in the bad guys. So I always really like using Prime Reach because it just makes it a little bit more brain dead, a lot easier. So you just deal a lot of damage in a very short period of time to multiple enemies, especially because the range of these weapons is already pretty good. Having that Prime Reach mod on just sort of like makes it that tiny bit better. So there we go. The heavy attack. That guy will be dead. Maybe not. What about a heavy attack? I won't deal full damage because I'm not at 12 times, but 9 times. He's already dead. It's a yikes from me, dude. So let's go ahead and throw on a Prime Smite mod on. Just for sake of demonstrating. So you deal a little bit less damage with the Prime Reach mod on because you're not proccing your status procs as consistently because you don't have your weeping wounds on to sort of buff up your status. But yeah, let's try out our Prime Smite Corrupted. There we go. For that on. Spawn in these bad guys. Jump on over. So this is going to amplify the amount of damage that our slash procs deal as well as our viral procs is going to amplify that. So personally, I really like these Prime Smite mods because your slash procs just deal tons of damage. Let's see if I can sort of show it off. No slash proc that time. There you go. That was a slash proc. See if we can proc one there. None. How about there? No slash proc there. It's getting the slash proc to land, so there you go. Your slash procs are dealing a decent bit. The more viral procs you apply to the enemy, the more damage your slash procs are going to be dealing. So it stacks up to 10 times, I believe, with the viral procs. So let's just go ahead and spawn in, let's say, higher level enemies, and then maybe we can show it off a little bit more effectively. Let's see. Melee them. Get all of our procs off. See if I can catch any. He's got free on. He's getting unlucky with the status effects that I have when they're proccing on these guys, but if you melee an enemy enough, like you actually get to the point where you can melee enemies enough where you can see that their health is being eaten away by the slash procs and the viral procs are sort of buffing that damage up. Then in that scenario, you'll probably be able to see it just like a little bit better. But either one of those builds that I showed you, you can run any of those mods. Again, like I said, just for sake of consistency, I would keep Weeping Wounds on because it just seems to be the most consistent in terms of dishing out a decent amount of DPS and implying you're staying within like your daily content, your star chart content, your sortie content, stuff like that. You won't see enemies who are higher level than level 110, right? And we're dicking on level 165 right now with the Weeping Wounds build. So, put two and two together. If you're playing versus level 110 enemies, you're probably going to be, you know, dealing a decent amount of damage and killing them pretty quickly. But of course, there are better melee weapons out there, such as the Quinnan Prime or the Fragger Prime. The Fragger Prime being one of my favorites at the minute. But let's just go ahead and throw on Arcane Strike, because Arcane Strike is probably an arcane that a lot of you guys will have. Maybe not, maybe I'm assuming, but Arcane Strike makes this just that little bit better. And then if you want to, we can maybe also throw in a Wisp buff as well at a certain point. Spawn them in. And get our Arcane Strike going. So we attack that a little bit faster. Because we're attacking that a little bit faster, of course, the enemies are dying that little bit faster. Pretty common sense. And what we can also do is use our Wisp buff. We attack even faster. And the enemies die even faster. So I was demonstrating beforehand without any buffs or anything like that. The only thing that I had that was sort of like buffing up my damage just the slightest bit was a corrosive projection. But like I mentioned in the last video with the Basmu, you're probably better off running the likes of Steel Charge over the likes of corrosive projection up to a certain point. Whenever the enemies hit a certain level, that's whenever corrosive projection would sort of like, you know, become king, I guess you could say. But before you guys go, I guess I'll show you the Fragger Prime build that I was talking about, config C. So this is like a heavy attack build, which you can use versus Kuva Liches to just melt them, pretty much. But you build your combo, do your thing, 12 times combo, and then you just, you know, heavy attack, and then you're good to go. So, you know, boom, and the dirt is gone. It's a really fun build. It's got that prime reach on it as well. And you can sort of keep on spamming those heavy attacks too to get the insane damage. There you go. Crazy, right? Nutty build. I love it. Fragger Prime is better than the Ceti Lacera. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead, hit the like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.